it's meant to really talk about again, from the perspective of the fellows and the application process, which looks like may not be applicable, but we'll just kind of quickly go through this. So let me just share my screen. And can you guys see this?
Yep.
Best intro slide I ever did. All right. So first, very general terms, we've called this training program PERFORM-KUH. It's an acronym for this long thing here, Philadelphia Program for Mentored Research Training. The important part is this last part of the phrase, which is kidney, urologic, and hematologic diseases. It's really focused in that area, and we'll come to that. The program is here because the kidney urology and hematology section of the NIDK really decided about 5 years ago that they wanted to do an experiment to see whether they can enhance really the pipeline of scientists that are focused in their focus area. And they created this set of instructions for us to create the program that required that we actually make this a program that was regional in scope, that involved multiple universities and spanned intellectually the scientific focus of KUH. So these are the programs that are involved in Philadelphia, built from really foundational T32 programs that already existed in hematology, focused mostly at CHOP, that Wei is the director for, and the renal T32, located primarily at Penn, but now includes all five of these university programs. So again, the training focus is really and very strictly meant to be in these three areas. In kidney science, it's really all types of science. In urology and hematology, the focus is on what they call benign urology and benign hematology, so non-cancer related disease, or the science related to that disease. And that's what we built. And they actually quite strictly enforce this. So it's important that those people interested in applying for this type of program really make sure that the focus of their research training is in these KUH areas. So, we built a program that is more than what traditionally is a T32 program. The T32 programs, you may know, are programs that were sanctioned by the Congress more than 50 years ago now, again, meant to be the foundation for creating a training pathway for future scientists. In this kind of traditional version of training program, NIH training programs, there's funding that supports salary and some additional costs associated with training of both predoctoral candidates and postdoctoral fellows. And it's really quite a nice program, and it's been there for many years, and it's been, from my perspective, successful, although from the KUH perspective, the outcomes weren't as good as they wanted, and they were trying to do more. So they've asked that we build a program, and we have built a program that includes kind of traditional T32 aspects. That's what they call now the TL1 program, which is largely a mentored trainee experience, that really fundamental relationship between the trainee and their PI. And then some additional, what I call enhancement programs, which include a professional development program and a networking program. Jordy Cohen is actually a nephrologist at Penn who's running this professional development core, and Michelle, who's is running the networking program. The professional development core is what you might expect it to be. It involves really trying to build community within this KUH group, but with some enhancement seminar series, including a career development program, a research in progress program, where trainees really at their level present their work in progress and get kind of gentle and reassuring comments mostly from their peers, but also from more senior scientists who might be interested in what they're doing. And then there's a kind of grant writing program that is part of this as well. And there may be other aspects of this in the future, but this is the fundamental pieces that we intend. And the networking program is really not directly related to the trainees development, but is meant to be a set of pipeline programs that, again, at even a kind of lower educational level from high school on up, filtering patients or funneling patients toward these KUH areas. And we're taking advantage of really amazing programs that already exist to accomplish that goal. And I won't go into more of it here because it's, again, not immediately relevant, except that the young students that are brought in through these pipelines are mentored by our trainees as part of a larger program. And there's good reasons for doing that. And I think it's, actually there's many years of experience now and a lot of success. And so we're basically buying into existing programs and, again, trying to expose these students to our domain, the KUH domain. And then finally, as part of this, there's going to be an annual retreat, and actually, it's part of a larger training program network, a national network, and so that network also is going to have a national meeting that our trainees will be allowed to and paid for to go. So the program is built on this mentor-mentee relationship. Mentors, we've identified about 110 mentors at all 5 institutions who have, the experience, the research environment, the funding, the mentoring experience that are all necessary to provide a good training experience for our potential trainees. Again, they have to be KUH focused, or at least their research needs to be related to KUH, shown to be related to KUH, such that the NIH will sanction these relationships and pay for it. So there is a website, which I'll get to at the end, but the website now actually includes all those mentors, and we're further refining. Adam's working hard on this, but further refining that website such that it's more searchable and easier to use. But at least we have all our mentors up there and people can see what the opportunities are immediately. Again, if they have other people that they would like to mentor them, they already have a relationship, for example, we're very open to that, but we really have to have a conversation to make sure that it fits within the scientific focus of the program. So contact us if that's the situation. Again, the mentoring program is really very much at the focus, the very center of this program. We all know, we who train trainees know that, it's all about that relationship and the project and the time that the mentor spends with the mentee. And so this is kind of a diagram that really is meant to illustrate that what we are doing is taking the trainees' local program requirements. So if they're a graduate student, for example, almost all graduate programs have required thesis committee component. We want to kind of wrap around that, and instead of adding to the trainee's burden or the mentor's burden, we want to try to, fit in, integrate with that set of requirements. But what we plan is to have regular, really semi-annual minimum meetings that are organized by the trainee with the mentor and their self-defined mentorship committee. And then wrapped around that are an advisory group and then a mentorship oversight committee that basically serves as kind of the word I want to use is honest broker who can make sure that the work is getting done, that things are kept on schedule, and Adam will be part of that, but then allows us to evaluate basically trainee progress as a group, and also the mentor-mentee relationship. Is the mentor doing the job that they're supposed to be doing? If there are issues, it's a way we would take responsibility for dealing with any problems that came up. So, we're hoping that this model works. We're just getting started with this, but Hannah will be very much involved with kind of making sure that this goes as planned and using kind of her knowledge and professional tools that are available to try to streamline this process. I mentioned that this is like the T32s and the support. So again, the T32 piece, the TL1 piece, provides stipends based on an NIH scale for both pre and postdocs. The program nominally is 2 years in length. It provides not only the tuition for the pre-docs, potentially tuition for the postdocs if they want to do a master's degree training, but also provides some additional support for travel, for potentially healthcare, even child support. So it's very nice in that way, and really makes feasible, what would otherwise be very, very difficult for most people considering a career path in this area. Uh,
Can I ask you something here? In your slides, when you said 4 year, four per year, okay, so it's not 4 year of the graduate education. Sorry, yeah.
Correct, right.
Got
So
it.
thank you for asking that question. So, we have a total of 11 slots for training. 4 are pre-doc, 7 are postdoc. Those were assigned to us. It's not something we defined for ourselves. They were assigned by the NIH and in our funding award. Presently, for this present competition, the deadline is January 15th. We have 2 open pre-doctoral positions. There'll be additional positions open for a July 1st start date, and I think the deadline we'll get to in a second. But so there will be both pre and postdoctoral positions, and they'll be kind of opening on a kind of evolving basis as slots are surrendered after 2 years, new slots become available. This is a technicality, but an important one, and that is that the way the NRSA, the T32 programs are structured is that they want real commitment. They're really looking for people not to dabble, but who are truly invested in a scientific career. And one of the ways they have of enforcing that is to say, if you get in and we pay for all this stuff for a year, you're obligated to do a second year. And if you don't do a second year, then you actually have to pay it back. And there are different mechanisms for paying it back, but fundamentally that's the program. By giving a second year of support, which is, as I said, kind of expected, you've paid the first year obligation back. So there's no really at the end of 2 years, there's absolutely no obligation. It's really a very nice program, and we've used it. Actually, my old kidney T32 program was in its 51st year, so it's a long track record, and people have had very nice and successful careers. Importantly, there are inclusion criteria. This is the eligibility requirements. For pre-docs, well, I should say first, the government insists that participants are either U.S. citizens or green card holders. So you cannot be on a training visa, J1 visa, or other type of visa, and receive this support. And this is increasingly a difficult issue, honestly. But it is a requirement. It's nothing we can do about it. So again, there are pre-docs and postdocs. For the pre-docs, the program is intended for students who have already passed their qualifying exam and are in their post qualifying exam period, finishing their postdoc. The initial appointment is for 12 months, but it's almost certain to get a second as long as people are kind of doing what they're supposed to do. And for postdocs, it can be any type of postdoctoral degree, really, that's appropriate. There's a commitment of at least 40 hours per week, really in both pre and postdoc period. In the pre-doc period, it's full time. And for postdoc, it's a minimum of 40 hours per week. And the reason that's important is that we do have some MD scientists who also do a little bit of clinical work, but that has to be beyond the 40-hour requirement. So the application process, again, we're trying to keep this pretty simple, but our goal is to make this broadly available at all 5 institutions. And, how best to do that. And so, of course, we thought we need to do this using a somewhat competitive approach. So we're asking people to provide us with information, a short application that we can review as an admissions committee and make decisions about, admission to the program. Because it's a limited resource, and we have to do it this way. So we've created, I'll show you a website that has a questionnaire that's very simple to use, a few simple questions, and then it allows people to upload kind of the application document as one single kind of joined document. So these are the elements of that application. So a standard NIH biosketch, a one-page research plan, not including references. And again, the research plan, it should be kind of, I'll call it age appropriate. You don't expect a pre-doc to be writing a sophisticated kind of letter of intent, but it's something certainly that they should have discussed with their proposed or present mentor, and that clearly lays out the hypothesis and the basis for the hypothesis, and very roughly, in very few words, what the experimental approach would be. And I think that this will allow the committee to decide, first, is this appropriate for a KUH program? And second, is this somebody who, has their act together and, has a somewhat feasible plan, again, age appropriate, that's going to advance their career. We also ask for a personal statement, and this is important because, again, we're trying to evaluate the individual, and these are the elements of that. What is their goal? What's their career goal? And again, it's going to be different for a pre-doc than a postdoc. How will this training really improve the likelihood that they're going to achieve that goal? And I'll be very direct about this. This last bullet point is meant to allow the individual to tell us about maybe circumstances that put them at somewhat of a disadvantage, or that show that they've overcome disadvantages to get to where they're at. We want a mentor statement. Anybody who's put together a F-32 or other kind of NIH training grant knows basically what we're talking about. But again, here the goal is briefly to show that I've got this trainee's back, and I wanna really engage with them. We're all aware of situations where a trainee gets included in a research group and then is ignored, or doesn't. If the senior investigator is somebody who's like on the road all the time, we need to know that maybe there's a senior postdoc in the lab who's going to be that kind of sub mentor that's going to make sure that it happens correctly. And finally, we have, as I said, some MD fellows, and there, we need to know that their boss is going to really ensure that their time isn't going to be gobbled up by clinical work, but that they really will have 40 hours of protected time to do this kind of work. So this will all come to a committee. The committee will make evaluations. We thought that it probably would be helpful to have kind of the finalists briefly interviewed by a video kind of interview, just to make sure we know who we're talking with, and to have any questions answered, and then we'll make decisions. So this is what the website looks like, and Adam has circulated this several times already, but there's a link here to the this REDCap questionnaire, and that's also the spot where it looks like this, where the document that I just described gets uploaded. And again, we ask that all those elements be assembled to a single PDF document and submitted as a single document through this website. These are the kind of elements that we put together regarding the evaluation of the applications. I think it's pretty clear, nothing surprising here. We really are interested in the motivation, the goals of the applicant. We really absolutely have to be focused on the scientific area and the commitment of the mentor to the candidate. And the referees assessments are simple. I think we've asked for ever a letter, so that we have some reference there. So here are the application cycles for this current fiscal year. Actually, this is this year and beginning of next fiscal year for this project. The first application is due January 15th, which is only about a month from now. But we think it's still possible. And then to make sure people know that the next round will be due March 17th, so another 2 months down the line. So this is why we're having these discussions now, so people have plenty of time to get it together. So then the rest of the application, the first cycle will be for April 1st start, and the second cycle would be for a July 1st start. And then after this first 2 cycles, it'll be truly semi-annual. So we'll spread it out a bit more. As I said, there's 1 pre-doc and 2 postdoctoral fellowship slots open for July of 2025. So that's really it. If people have questions, the best person to contact is Adam, and I think you have his email address and the email invitations for this. But any of the rest of us are very happy, particularly if you're outside of the Penn CHOP group. These individuals are the site directors at Drexel, Jefferson, and Temple, and they're very knowledgeable and very enthusiastic about helping out with this.
Thank you so much, Dr. Holman. Was very nice presentation. Can I ask you, because I am not really sure. So this program exactly when started the program?
Yeah, we got the start date was actually September 1st.
Oh,
the
so
NIH,
this a few months ago. Okay.
Yeah, the NIH is, so the reason that there aren't more slots open right now is that we have some carryover from the existing T32s that we were forced to close them as part of this program and roll those trainees over into this. So that's why there's these now 2 pre-doctoral slots, and then in the next cycle there'll be another 3 slots open, and that'll and our goal, and this is important. We've talked many times about the fact that this is truly meant to be a 5 university type of program where yes, of course, it's all been at Penn and CHOP, so that's where the current ones are, but we want to try to push to integrate the other sites as well.
Yeah, the other question that I have, you mentioned explicitly that cancer is not under the scientific umbrella, but is infectious disease under the scientific umbrella related with any of these issues or organs like kidney?
Yes, the answer is yes, if there's a clear relationship. I think that's very important. And in fact, I'm sure we can describe similar experiences. Both of us have done this for a long, long time. And there have been fellows who we propose, we think this is not going to be a problem, and then we get flagged, and the program officer calls us up and says, what exactly is this person doing? And so, we take it we truly do take that requirement seriously.
Thank you.
All right. Can I ask a question about the I'm trying to gauge the appropriateness of the predoctoral fellowship for like students in my division, for example, because as you know, I'm trying to get students interested in kidney disease research who are in like the biostatistics program, and have 1 or 2 in mind who are interested in kidney disease. But one thing that I saw in the announcement is that trainee submission of an individual fellowship grant is a requirement for trainees appointed for a second year. And I wanted to understand that, because like applying for grants is definitely not usual for our graduate program, and obviously that would take, you know, a large amount of time and effort to do that. And so I just wanted to understand, like, does that rule us out, or, you know, should we be applying for 1 year only, or you know, what are the requirements?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Jefferson. In fact, something I guess I really maybe Wade, do you want to respond first to this, and then I'll.
Right. Okay, Doc, I think what Penn graduate program have done, they made the prelim and exam almost as a format, as fellowship format. They even take the classes how to write it, and so many trainees would modify that, turn into F31 application after that. So so that means most of our Penn trainees will apply. Okay, we are not really required everyone to get it for the second year, right? But we just want them to make the effort to apply, you know, because graduate training can take 5 years, right? So this one only cover 2 years. It's actually very nice that you can transition to F grant 2 years later. You know, and sometimes we get an early termination of training slots. It's because one trainee got F31, you know, prior to the second year.
Yeah. So just to expand on that, so you know, my experience is mostly with postdoctoral fellows, and particularly MD, but sometimes PhD postdoctoral fellows, and they're, you know, the motivation is twofold, and they're exactly the same as what Wei said. One is, I personally think that writing a grant is one of the most important learning experiences for trainees. I think early on, even in the first year, it sounds like completely crazy, but it actually does several things. One is it actually forces the mentor and the mentee to roll up their sleeves together. And it's like writing your first paper together, you know, and that's a really valuable experience. Second, you know, it forces the early trainee to put their ideas on paper the first time. We all know, like, the first time you try to do that, it's like really hard, and you realize what you don't know and what you can't do, you know, and that process, that is extremely important. Even if the trainee doesn't get the grant, that experience is everything. If they do get the grant, and many of them are really successful, actually, it does two things. For the trainee, in my head, it's a brownie point. You know, it's like I got an independent grant as a trainee. And the second thing is that it does potentially open up these slots, these T32 foundational slots, for others to follow. So it basically expands the resource by doing this. And you know, I know in my old T32 program, I'd say we had about a 75% success rate with this. And it really did allow us to bring in additional people that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. So I encourage it, actually. And you know, as Wei said, like in the master's program, the MSc program, the MTR program, which we can sponsor at Penn, they've actually built, you know, they built a curriculum. It sounds like the PhD program is on the same thing, that basically incorporates this process into the 2-year curriculum. So it's not a big deal for those students. For those outside, I actually, you know, so we haven't had any experience yet with other universities, but you know, I think if this is a problem or an issue, we want to learn about it so that we can kind of refine what we're doing. I think that's it. I'm really hoping you guys will spread the word. I think, we really want that to happen.
Can I make a comments about the research area on benign KOH?
Please.
Even the program master told me before that let's say your lab have multiple areas. It doesn't mean all your project have to be benign KOH in order for your trainee to qualify, right? You could look on kidney cancer and benign kidney diseases as long as your trainee is, some of his project, most of his project is on benign disease, you're fine.
Yeah.
And, so of course, for our to renew, we always like our mentors to have grants in IDDK or benign KOH areas, right? So, that's, but if you have an NCI grant, that's okay. As long as you have a benign KOH or an IDDK grant.
Yes. And I would add that if you look at our mentor list, which as I said is like 110 faculty, there are many in there that are not, on the heading of their lab say kidney urology or hematology, but that are doing very valuable work that is relevant to those fields. So, people can be creative, with a postdoc, for example, you might have kind of a collaborative relationship with two mentors, one who's clearly in the kidney area, for example, and one who's clearly, let's say, in a bioengineering area. And that can turn out to do really great, innovative kind of science, great for the trainee, and actually fosters a relationship between the two laboratory PIs. So there's a lot of value in this type of thing. Somebody here is labeled Essex, and I don't. I just wonder if you would introduce yourself. Hi.
Yeah, I directed you to Hong Wong, so
Okay, I remember.
I got invited, so I'm listening in, but I'll keep my eye out for the appropriate students and postdocs.
Great, thank you so much. I just wasn't sure who you were.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, good. Thank you so much for coming. And, we'll be trying to communicate. I hope, again, if you think others don't know about this, please, forward the emails that you've seen to them and make sure we've tried to broadcast it through your entire organization, but I'm not sure that actually happened. So
Thank you so much.
have a nice weekend.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.